Hello and welcome to Geek Talk. I'm Nathan Seaman.
And I'm Natalie Barber.
Today we'll be talking about the desolation of Smaug,
Jared Padalecki and his Twitter fight with Justin Bieber and its impact on the supernatural fandom.
Then we'll discuss the new Magic set release.
And finally, our big topic of the night, Marvel versus Hollywood. Is it a good or bad thing that the Marvel Universe is on the big screen?
In the vast expanses of geekdom, two brilliant lights will shine as beacons calling upon you and drawing you into the warmth of knowledge. These two heroes will guide you and give you insight to the great movies, shows, games, and other wonderful parts of our modern-day society. This is WSC-TV's Geek Talk.
Let's start off today with the desolation of Smaug.
Smaug is the second of 3 Hobbit movies that are going to be coming out. And what did you think about it?
I actually kind of enjoyed it. It was a nice addition to just taking the adventure and going again from where we left off. And the dragon was amazing.
Yeah. Maybe we should first talk about what we liked. That's always been a good starting point thing. So what did you like?
Well, I really enjoyed the way that they showed the massive size of Smaug, and I really enjoyed just the way that it flowed from the last one into this one a lot. He's been
really, that's a good point that Peter Jackson does, is that he flows, his stories flow. So if you do your movie marathons with his movies, you're not missing much, or it doesn't feel like you've stopped. It's the movie continues. And was that it? Was that the only thing?
Well, those are the main things.
The main things. I liked the barrel river sing. That one was neat. I also loved the dragon. The dragon was gorgeous. Smaug was awesome. See, what else did I like? That was pretty much the big things that I liked. I enjoyed the integrating of all the other creatures and species, and like the what was it, the shapeshifter. I loved that scene where he came in as the giant bear and like was chasing after them, and oh, that's our host. I was happy they kept that from the book. That was awesome. So now let's talk about what we didn't like.
You go first. I don't.
Oh boy. Well, the big thing that's been controversial about this movie, especially with old Ringer fans or Lord of the Rings / Hobbit fans who have been that read the books and everything, is the elf dwarf love interest. I am not happy with that at all. Makes no sense. It made me so mad I literally almost left the theater. That's how mad it made me, because I was like, this never happens. Because if you know your Lord of the Rings history, just the history of Middle Earth in general, that would never happen. The grudge is so strong against these two races that there is no way in heck that would happen. That was my very big thing that I was very angry about, and it kind of just spiraled downhill. They took way too long in the at the very end when Smaug is chasing them, the dwarves. That scene was way too long than it should have been. They just tried to make an excuse to extend this movie even longer. And there was it's nitpicking stuff from the book, but the whole Brom and the arrow and how Smaug is originally killed, and they did that completely wrong. So as a book fan, I don't like what they did to it, but that's me.
Which with movies, it's hard to get the book.
Yeah.
Like, there are a lot of bad adaptations, like some that I don't even want to mention. Like, but then there are those that they try, and it's hard for the movie industry to portray the book exactly as the people that are so in love with the book want it to be, because
And that's the thing too. It's like I was very understandable with Lord of the Rings of why some stuff was not added. However, The Hobbit is a very short book. Very short book. And I understand that you're adding stuff from the Silmarillion, but did you have to really do that? You know.
It's just they're trying to make it so that they can market it for a little bit longer than 1 or 2 movies. They're just trying to make it fit to the standard that they think it needs to be a trilogy. And to create enough material, they have to pull.
Yeah. So what you didn't like? Was that one of the big ones too? Is
a little bit of the inconsistencies, yes. And
yeah.
like some of it was a bit long-winded in the chase scene with with Smaug. I was like, okay, all right, let's go.
We're good.
We're good. We got this. I can understand this. The barrel scene I enjoyed a lot, but like I don't know. There's not much I can complain about.
The one thing that I've heard some fans say, which I can agree with them, is that if you've never read the book, this is a good movie. This is a nice, fun movie. However, if you've read the book, this is not your Hobbit that you know. And it's quite sad. And it makes me very nervous for the last one, because there's a lot of stuff that happens in the last one, the Battle of the Five Armies. And how is he going to screw that up? And, I'm looking at you, Peter Jackson. If you don't kill the certain dwarves that are supposed to die in the Battle of the Five Armies, we're done. We're done. We're done. We're done. We're done.
But as a adaptation, I think it probably has done a lot better than those that shall not be named. Like, Aragon. Anyway, but by comparison, just because that also was a series that has a lot of magic and elves and things, this one I think has at least stuck more true to the source better than said thing.
Yeah. Well, and also you have to think of it is that the Lord of the Rings fan base is a lot older, and I don't consider myself fully into that category, but we're the nerdy, the scholarly nerds. We're the scholarly nerds. We're the ones, well, I didn't, but the Lord of the Rings fans, the ones that perfected and learned not only the Elven language, the Dunedain language, the Dwarven language, the Orc language, the Mordor language. And Peter Jackson himself had to go to them to teach his cast how to speak this language because of the fans. So I can see why he has, there's a reason why he has to be consistent with the story, because, I'm going to make a lot of fans mad. And half of them helped us make this movie. It's like, there's people that major in Elvish and Lord of the Rings knowledge. Try reading the Silmarillion. That book, I tried reading it 5 times. Could not get through it. I even tried audio CD. Couldn't. It's this thick. It goes through all ages of Middle Earth. The third age of Middle Earth, which we know from the Lord of the Rings and Hobbit, is not until the 4th to last chapter in the book. It's bad. But I can see the difference in that, is that the Lord of the Rings fandom is a bit more scholarly, and we're the refined ones. We're the refined fandom that we're the history nerds also, the history nerds that know all of this history, because you have to know all this history because it makes the story.
All right, final thoughts.
I will not buy it at all. Not until it gets in the package deal thing, and then only when I do. Well, only when I. I can't even think of it.
Well, considering I haven't bought the first one yet, I have a feeling that I will eventually get them when they are all 3 done and a complete set. And that's my take on it. I enjoyed it.
So watch it for yourself. You be your own judge. But if you're a book fan, be prepared for stuff that's not in the book. And if you've never read the book, have fun. It is a fun movie if you've never read the book.
Today's word is cosplay. Cosplay is the act of dressing yourself to resemble a character from any area of media. It is a hobby shared by an incalculable number of people worldwide. It is both a form of artistic expression and a way of showing love for your fandom. People typically cosplay at pop culture conventions that are held all over the world during all times of the year, and there are even people who earn a living by making and selling cosplay outfits online. Cosplay may be difficult to understand for those of you who only wear a costume once a year at Halloween. Different people cosplay for different reasons, but typically it holds a bit more sentiment than putting on a factory-sealed outfit you bought at Party City a week before. Some do it because they love the process of making costumes and enjoy testing their skills and attempt to replicate a cool-looking character as closely as possible. Some do it because they like acting and being able to step into the shoes of someone else. Others cosplay because they feel they can relate to a character and see part of themselves in him or her. Or maybe they think the character is a good role model and strive to be more like them. You can cosplay a character that looks just like you, one that's nothing like you at all, and one that's not even the same gender as you, or one that you completely made up. You could cosplay as a different version of an already existing character, like a female Jack Frost or a human Smaug. There are no rules. Do whatever you want, because the main reason people cosplay is because it's fun. Cosplaying lets you meet more people who love the same things you do, and it also makes fictional worlds come to life. It's difficult to describe just how satisfying it is to take something that only exists in people's heads and then make it real. The cosplaying community is very warm and welcoming. A lot of love and effort is put into cosplay, and it brings people together. So all in all, cosplay is something that deserves to be respected. So now you know. That concludes this episode of Geektionary.
Up next, we have our correspondent Reagan's report from Omaha.
She is at Dragon's Lair, where the new Friday Night Magic release of Born of the Gods is taking place. Reagan?
This is Reagan Career from kwsc-tv's Geek Talk. It is the pre-release night of the new Magic the Gathering set called Born of the Gods. I'm here at Dragon's Lair Comics and Games in Omaha to get in on the action. Magic has been popular ever since its birth in 1993. And every time a new set is released, tournament-like events are held in card shops all across the nation.
It's becoming more popular. I've seen a lot more new players lately.
It's been progressing. It's been getting more and more popular. Like ESPN has been tossing up the idea of actually broadcasting Magic like it used to back in the day.
So how do you feel about the Greek mythology theme that they have going on right now?
I really like it. It's at least because you have something identifiable going on with the Greek mythology, as opposed to any of the past sets where a lot of the times they're completely unique to Magic, or Ravnica, it's a return set, so you have to already kind of know the mythos to go forward. So it's kind of nice to have like, oh, I know what that's about, because everyone had to take Greek mythology in some point in school.
Absolutely love it. I'm big into Greek mythology, love all the tales and everything.
I like the flavor behind it. It's very different. It's something that people have asked for a long time.
What are your typical favorite colors to play?
Blue and white. I also like black. As long as red is alone, I like playing red.
It's usually red-black, although sometimes I favor blue, depending on what's available in the current set.
Green, blue. I love green especially, though.
Green, absolutely green. Red when I'm playing aggro, although red and white have become my least favorite colors. Black and blue are fun, because I get to make people mad.
I've played every color of Magic. In Standard, I have a lot of fun with a mono green deck. In Legacy, I always play blue, because I need to have answers for everything that everyone else does.
How do you think the new set will affect the game as a whole?
Untap step is kind of a thing now, so hopefully we'll get to see a lot of tapping creatures and untapping creatures effects.
Mill decks can be particularly aggressive against your opponent, and there's a lot of mill activation in this one.
Right now, the gods and planeswalkers out of the last set were the ones that were originally the expensive cards, and then you'll find the big creature that everybody's after, which this set, there's a lot of options.
I think the new White Cat legendary dude.
That guy he's by far going to be the most expensive card out of the pre-release weekend, as well as the first couple weeks. It's really strong.
I think he'll actually keep price for a long time.
Can you explain for maybe some of the people who don't know what it is, why do you like playing Magic?
I like playing Magic because it's a social way to hang out with my friends without having to like go out and spend money on like going to movies or dinner or something like that. Like you kind of do an initial investment and then you're really good for like another 3 months. So it's a really good way to spend time with your friends without having to spend a ton of money.
It's a good way to meet new people. It's fun. It's mentally challenging at times.
I find Magic helps me think in an ordered way.
Kind of sharpens your math skills, it sharpens your imagination, because you can imagine these giant things battling it out.
Why do I like playing Magic? Because I get to use my intelligence and pound it into their faces.
I think it's more of a hobby that people get together and play casually, just a Friday night kind of event. There are other people that take it to a different level and just want to play for the prizes, the money, and the glory. I mean, but that can be said with any game.
What's your favorite flavor text for a card?
Catch, lava axe.
It involves scooping out someone's brains and putting them back in. I mean, who doesn't enjoy a good brain scooping?
For mugging, which is scream, muffled, pockets emptied, neck function never the same. And it's got a giant minotaur who's like got a guy in a headlock like this. And if you look, his neck is like way stretched out because the minotaur's arm is like way too huge. So neck function never the same because he's just taken 2 damage from the strangling.
Goblin Guard. He figured out which end was the pointy one, so we promoted him.
There is one with a ox that shows up in every core deck that talks about how stubborn it is, and it's in every core deck, despite the fact that it's actually not a very good card, and it's kind of a joke with Magic that they print it in every core deck even though it's a bad card. And it always talks about how stubborn it is.
But the Ashnod's coupon card is my favorite card. I can't remember what the exact flavor text is, but it's always fun to read.
It says, pay X mana, target creature is now a coward. And it also has the ability to pay X mana, target creature is a warrior. And its rules text says cowards cannot block warriors.
So do you have any recommendations for anyone who's interested in getting into Magic?
If you're a new player, I recommend getting someone that's close to your skill level. The only reason me and Donnie became the best of our group was because we initially made decks. Donnie would beat me. I would proceed to make my deck better, beat him, until we were just going to competitions and hitting first, second.
It is a awesome hobby to get into if you ever want to do something with people you haven't met, or generally the communities are always very nice and welcoming to new players, and then they kill you horribly as soon as you become halfway adequate at the game.
So that about wraps up my coverage of Born of the Gods pre-release here at Dragon's Lair in Omaha. I'm Reagan Creer for kwsc-tv, and in case anyone was curious, my favorite flavor text is for Enormous Bailiff. Its diet consists of fruits, plants, small woodland animals, large woodland animals, woodlands, fruit groves, fruit farmers, and small cities. Now let's get back to your regularly scheduled Geek Talk.
Hitting the news recently, Jared Padalecki, star of Supernatural, was in a Twitter war, you want to say, with Justin Bieber, making comments about how Bieber made his friend take the blame for a drug possession. And because of this, a war ensued. You want to know? Do you know what happened?
I do not.
You're new to all this?
Yes.
Okay. So what happened basically is that after this tweet, CW, the station or the company that has Supernatural, was in terror because they thought the Beliebers, Justin Bieber fans, were going to they were going to boycott the next Supernatural episode. So on Tumblr, on Twitter, all over fandom, all the fans, the Sherlockians, the Whovians, and of course the Supernaturalians, with a little mix of other smaller groups together, came together to watch Supernatural. And it was the #1 watched episode of Supernatural since its airing in 2009.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, we were not letting those Beliebers ruin us, because they're not going to watch Supernatural anyway. And this is another thing to keep in mind, especially when it comes to, if you think a star is higher level, if you think a star is in a higher caliber than one that is in a fandom, you are wrong. Because that star in a fandom will have more backing than the star that has like these believers or whatever. So you must be, so this is something that do not do not look down upon the fandoms, because we are strong and we are mighty. Yes. So yeah, that was interesting, and he still kind of tweets the bad stuff, you know, like kind of poking fun at Justin Bieber, especially the stuff that's happening with him on the news. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's.
So, I wonder if Justin were to try and fight again, if like to attack a different fandom, would, I wonder, all the fandoms band together again?
Heck yeah, they would.
Like, say, what if another celebrity, not say Justin Bieber, but do you think that if another celebrity who was bashing on another celebrity that's in a fandom, and I don't know, I'm just trying to say somebody other than Justin who has a following similar to Justin, do we have any words against, like, to warn them?
Mm-hmm. Well, we do, because the thing is that Jared Padalecki is a very good man. And I don't want to meet, you know, he's a family guy. He is, fandoms will not, we are smarter than the average 10-year-old. And we will not blindly follow somebody. If they're generally or a bad person, we won't support them. We won't watch their show. We won't. And so that's why a lot of the fandoms came together to support Supernatural, to help that show not be in the scary area of almost being canceled, because that was a fear that was going to happen. So if a star is going to attack another star from a show and that star doesn't deserve it, or that person that says something about that other one is correct, we will band together because we are strong.
All right, it's good to know that fans of any show can stick together, because I know that there is a lot of sometimes almost sibling rivalry between the fandoms. Like, there is, of course, Supernatural and Sherlock and Doctor Who, they band together quite a bit because their fans have a lot of overlap. But there are also fandoms out there that don't get as much like publicity, like say Homestuck. Then they feel a little bit left out sometimes, and then they get angry at the other fandoms. Like, so, yeah, there's wars within the fandoms, which I do not agree with, because
it happens though.
Yeah, I don't agree with it, because we all love what we love, and this banding together for Supernatural shows that it's a smart thing to do. If you can appreciate somebody else appreciating something, then they will eventually appreciate you for appreciating what you appreciate. Like, that's a lot of
appreciation.
But my point being, golden rule. Even if you don't understand why the show is popular, you should respect the fact that it's out there.
Mm-hmm. So, and that one, so just keep in mind, believers or other weird star fans, we are out here, and don't mess with us.
For this segment, we will have a geek discuss one of their favorite movies, shows, books, or games. However, they aren't allowed to talk about the characters or plot directly. They must discuss it by only describing their feelings about it. Welcome to Oh My Feels.
Oh, oh, brothers. You trust, you betray the trust. At first, I was like, yeah. And then I was like, yeah, yes, yes, sir, yes, sir. Oh, beginning, yes, most enjoyable. A little bit later, a little bit less enjoyable, but still enjoyable.
Should I be more specific? Passive aggressive thing going on.
Oh, it's okay. Yes. I love such a jerk. Oh, at first you're like, why? And then you're like, why?
And you're like, I'm sorry.
I'm so
I didn't mean
sorry. You come back. Come back.
May Hughes is
Wow. 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 Just kill him off. Oh, poor Rose. Poor, why?
What is it with characters named Rose?
Why?
Daughter.
Aww. 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 Please will be okay. Oh, that little scamp. That little scamp. Yeah, he's not my favorite. Just say it out loud. Just say it. Dude, you're awesome, but just say it.
And then his inability.
Reciprocate. You can still be. You can still get the and. Yeah, but reciprocate stuff and things. It's okay, Mustang. Why? Why would you do that to us? That is not cool. Not cool at all. Yeah. Yeah. What? Okay, I don't trust your judgment there, but yeah. Oh. Boom, at first you're like, what? And then you're like, that makes sense. And then you're like, yes, you are a good villain. Ah, that is the best bromance ever. Best bromance ever. He's okay, like, he's just there, he's doing his thing. Or you're just like, why is he not? And then when you find him, you're like, oh, okay, but that's cool. Wow, really? Interesting. So you were important. Oh, you are important. You are like extremely important. Why did it take us this long to get to you? At first you're like, yeah, this is the cutest thing ever. And then heart.
Edward. Why? And then Leslie showed up. No sympathy.
Just need love, man. Love.
I noticed that because I have the emulator of the Game Boy Advance version, so.
First, there was Iron Man, and then they followed Hulk, Captain America, and so on until we had the Avengers. The Marvel studio has brought us wonderful superheroes, but is this a good thing?
From my perspective, I feel that I love the adventures that we get to have with our heroes in our comic book superheroes. That's bad wording, but we get to spend time with them in an adventure in an environment that is not just literature through the comic book. That's why I appreciate them, even though I know that there is some flaws and some things that they aren't quite the exact heroes that were first created.
Unlike when you're looking at we're not going to talk about the other Marvel franchises that are not under the Marvel Studios. So we're not going to be talking about Spider-Man or the X-Men because they are not owned yet by the Marvel Studio. They're owned by Warner Brothers and Universal. So, but going to them about this, it was such a pleasure when we first saw Iron Man and how they took that approach of it being real and it really existing in our world. And I love that about it when they took those liberties. And I was okay with it. The issues that a lot of people are coming up with now, and it's not the fact that we don't love seeing our superheroes on the big screen and seeing them in real life. I mean, who wouldn't? Who wouldn't want to see their favorite superheroes on the big screen? I mean, I was like that when Batman was on. But then they take too many liberties with story. And then this is where the issue comes in. Because comics have different story arcs and different timelines, then there comes the issue of which one are they going to pick? And the new Captain America ones that's coming out, they're going to, spoiler, even though it's not out yet, if you don't read comics, this is a spoiler. Winter Soldier is Bucky. Oh, you didn't know. Winter Soldier is Bucky, and he was experimented on, and that's following a timeline from a different Marvel thing. But then you have the issue of, look at Iron Man 3. He took the thing out of his chest, and he destroyed all his Iron Man suits. Iron Man in the comic books never would have done that, ever. He is too cocky and self-confident with himself to do that. Even though I understand why they did it, to have this setup for the Avengers 2 where, you know, oh, we're going to leave back their old lives, but we're going to get called back again for the movie. But no, Iron Man never would have done that. That whole movie, and what they did to the bad guy in that movie, it was uncalled for, and it was a slap to comic book fans' faces. It was. I mean,
because they portrayed the Mandarin as an actor, portraying in a little bit, saying that some comic book villains are a little bit almost overacting kind of people, and that if they were to be put into the real life situation, they just wouldn't fit. And I can see why that would be offensive to comic book fans, because yes, even though they may seem like they would be overacting, you kind of have to keep them what they were, because it's who they are.
I mean, and the Mandarin is being one of the bigger bad guys in the Iron Man universe. So it's, why would you do that? It's like taking Batman and Joker and making Joker this guy who works a 9-to-5 job behind the desk half the time and getting paid.
He's just a tax accountant. Yeah. He just got bored at work one day and thought he'd put on makeup and be the Joker.
Yeah, that's basically what it felt like. It was, even though I'm not a big Iron Man fan, that's still what it felt like. So this is a big issue because now a lot of big comic book fans are questioning what Marvel is doing. The Marvel Studio is doing. Because now we have Guardians of the Galaxy coming up, which is mostly heroes from outer space, before we have to deal with the Avengers 2 movie. Then there's talk of them introducing Doctor Strange, which I love, but I'll get back to that in a little bit because I have issues. That's another issue. And then Ant-Man.
Ant-Man, he was one of the Avengers that we didn't get to have yet with the original Avengers movie, which I think he will be an interesting one to be portrayed, because he's a little bit cocky like Iron Man is, but he's different. Like, it's hard to explain if you haven't read the comic books. I think he was, if I remember right, he was a scientist that started experiments and caused himself to be able to shrink to the size of an ant, or grow to the size of...
No, he was only able to shrink. Because remember, he's the counterpart for Atom Man from the DC universe. Because Atom Man shrinks. He doesn't grow, he shrinks. So that's what Ant-Man is he's the shrinker.
But in some storylines, though, Ant-Man actually has the ability to grow too, which is a different timeline, storyline. Comic book universes, if you don't know, they're just...
Yes. Yeah. Just don't get us started on Civil War. But this is another... the one issue is storylines. Another issue is actress portrayal. Now, I loved that Robert Downey Jr. was Tony Stark, because he is Tony Stark, and the casting of Thor, and Edward Norton as the Hulk, but then it changed, which was cool. Both of them were really good Hulks. And then my issue came with the guy who plays Captain America. Because even though he's a good actor, the issue is that he's already a Marvel superhero. He is
the Human Torch. I was very angry with this myself. Like, when they announced it, I'm like, no, we need a new actor. Somebody different. Like, I appreciate him as an actor as the Human Torch, but as Captain America, we need a new Captain America, because you can't do this, Marvel. Like, in the off chance, the extreme off chance that the Fantastic Four and Captain America get together, who's gonna do both of them? Are they gonna have him like do that whole like, Parent Trap thing like Lindsay Lohan did? Are they gonna do that with Captain America and the Human Torch? No, please don't, Marvel. Please don't. We've touched a touchy subject.
Yeah, this is another, like, where storylines is a very touchy subject for some people, actors is another for other people, including myself, because there was news that Marvel Studios wanted Johnny Depp to play Doctor Strange. Johnny Depp, I love you. You're a great actor. No one can deny that. You are not Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange is a doctor who is very full of himself, who gets in a car accident and damages his hand because he's a brain surgeon. And so he spends all of his money to find a way to repair his hands. And then he meets, Sorcerer Supreme, and then he becomes Sorcerer Supreme, and then he becomes humble. And he's more an intelligent person. That I do not see Johnny Depp playing. Do not put Johnny Depp in there as Doctor Strange. Oh my God.
I could see Johnny Depp maybe coming in as a villain and playing a villain very well.
Especially from the Doctor Strange universe.
Yes, but not necessarily as the hero. Like, I could see him as a hero, maybe, but not Doctor Strange. Yes, he would do an anti-hero. A very good anti-hero.
See, this is where we're going into the whole fact that Marvel thinks now, instead of actually looking for actors to fit characters like they used to when they first started, Iron Man, Thor, and the Hulk, you're now going for, hey, who wants to be in a Marvel movie? Who wants to be in a comic book movie so they can be recognized by dozens of fans? No! Quit doing that! What are you going to do next? It's like X-Men all over again. Okay. Okay.
I didn't think I was going to get this involved in this one.
I didn't either. But this is an issue that a lot of Marvel fans are dealing with right now, because we are very conflicted. Because the fandom is split in two. You have old school comic book fans, and you have just movie fans. And this comes, the third issue with Marvel becoming with Hollywood, is the separation of the fandoms.
I, for one, I appreciate both realms. Like, I didn't experience much comic book reading when I was younger, but I knew who my favorite heroes were before we got this many movies out. Like, I knew who they were, and I knew their basic storylines, but I do a lot more of I've already done a lot more background research than there are just with the movie fans. But I can also see the comic book side of things and the importance of those storylines. But I can also, I guess I always find myself in this position. Sitting in the middle, and I can see both worlds.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same way, but I can more relate to where the comic book people are coming from, because like the movie will show a little bit, and everyone around the world that hasn't read the comic books loves whatever was shown. And the comic book fans will hate it and despise it, but no one will care what they say. And the Marvel Universe is now pushing their old fans away because they're getting these new people who are going to buy the movies, the merchandise. You already had those people, Marvel. You had the people who bought your comic books every week. You had the people who go to the conventions, especially Comic-Con, which is another issue we'll bring up, that stand in line for hours to get Stan Lee's autograph, to meet the artists. And now artists, people used to end the storylines. You can talk about different storylines and be like, well, this happens in this and this happens in this, but your movie fans won't know any of that. And so all they'll think is canon is what they see on that screen. And they will argue and not care about what the comic book fans have to say. And that's very disheartening. Very disheartening. As you can tell, we're not as angry with this one as the other one, but...
Because I see, like the movies, they may follow a certain storyline, but like I take it also in the sense of being in the middle ground. Like, all the comic books are their own unique timeline, and the movies is just one of those timelines picked out, and we get to appreciate that timeline. Like, it's not necessarily the only one that's important. Yeah. But
it's going to be interesting, though, that in order for Marvel Universe to kind of get me back into its bandwagon of happy ride, you're going to have to pick a storyline from the comic books for the next Avenger movie. You're going to have to. And I know they're doing that with the big guy. I don't want to give it away. If no one's if you don't know by now, you really have never read the comics and you haven't looked up anything. Oh my gosh, people. It's been hinted at for how many movies now?
I forget his name, but I know who he is. Like,
Galactus.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you haven't figured this out now, who the bad guy is for the Avengers movie, really? You can't just Google it, really. But, and then comes the fourth and final issue with Marvel becoming more Hollywood, is what it's done to conventions, especially Comic-Con. Comic-Con, to nerds, is Mecca. Every nerd,
once a lifetime at least.
Once a lifetime, a nerd or a geek must go to Comic-Con. It is a rite of passage. It is a messy, crowded, yet wonderful experience. And in the last 5 to 10 years, we've seen a big change in Comic-Con. It has turned now into this media frenzy. Instead of just standing in line for an hour or two to meet a celebrity or hear their panel, people are standing in line for 5 hours to listen to an hour-long talk over stars about their next season of a TV show. Or the famous Hall H. People are standing in line 2 days before the hall opens so they can sit in that hall all day to watch all the big people come into that hall. Like, no one leaves. Like, people bring food. It's scary. And it never was like this. It was never that big. And now people think, especially in studios, especially Marvel, who started that, that we must do all our premiering at Comic-Con. Guys, There's a lot of different different conventions out there. Nebraska.
We have one here in Nebraska. Nebraska.
We have WillyCon.
We have WillyCon here on our campus.
We have our neighbor. We have one in There's over 200 conventions that happen alone just in the sci-fi fantasy realm alone in the United States. Then you have over 200 that are just anime based alone in the United States. That is not even counting just the comic book, the video game conventions, and you have to do it all at Comic-Con. Expand. Expand.
Spread it out.
Spread it out. There are people who go to Comic-Con and buy a ticket just to go to Comic-Con and never get a hotel room at all. They carry their clothes and everything in a backpack to walk the floor, to sit in line. There are people who get paid to line sit at this convention. It is sad and it's pathetic because industries like what Marvel has done, there's more to blame for this, but I'm just saying they really started it, especially with the Iron Man movie. Expand. There's many different conventions out there. Just expand, dudes.
I think we've got all of it out, but any last thoughts?
Why? Not Johnny Depp! Anybody but Johnny Depp!
I can't be like, don't put the same person as the Human Torch as Captain America, because we already did that. But Marvel, as much as we are hurt by some of the things you do, we also love and appreciate you for the things you do.
Also get X-Men rights back, please, for the love of Betsy.
Yeah, what she said.
Who's that Pokemon?
Well, that is a tiger cat dog thing. It's colorful. It's really fluffy. It has a nice tail, and it has a really big tail.
It probably turns into something else.
It's smiling, so.
Or a cat of sorts. I have no idea. And that's about all I know.
What element? Arsenic. That's an element on the periodic table.
The only element I could think of right now is like earth, maybe.
Oh, as in like water, fire.
Probably fire, because it looks quite fluffy.
It looks really sweet. So water? No, water is evil too. Is there earth? Earth seems pretty calm. Earth. Also because it's an earth animal.
Yes, it looks fluffy.
Well, it doesn't look vicious at all. I was lying about the arsenic.
No, he looks fluffy. I don't know.
Slurp.
Fluffy. Basically, yeah.
What the What?
I think I know. I think I know.
Fine, you go then.
My guess is Arcanine.
Arcanine! That's the name. Yes, the fire dog thing. Were we correct?
Ding ding ding.
Yeah!
Arcanine, Dex number 59, is a fire-type Pokemon from Generation 1. It is revered as a legendary Pokemon in China according to multiple Pokédex entries. It is known for its regal mane, extreme speed, graceful agility, and magnificent bark. It has also been known to run 60 to 100 miles within a day, often said to look like it was flying across the prairies. It evolves from Growlithe when exposed to a Firestone, making them very rare to see in the wild. Arcanine's notable moves include Flare Blitz, Close Combat, and Extreme Speed.
So, we've had a really wonderful day today.
Yeah, we talked about the Hobbit movie. We talked about
Justin Bieber and his war against fandoms.
And then we talked about Marvel and Hollywood.
So, from us to you, we hope everybody out there has enjoyed this episode of
The Geek Talk.
What do you think about the names they gave it?
Fluffy.
Fluffy. I was like, they're...
I would totally ride RK9 into battle.
Did you not realize how big that thing is?
No, we didn't tell them till afterwards. It's huge. You couldn't really tell.
Maybe next time put a size model.
Size comparison?
Yeah.
We'll do that next time.
Yeah, next time be like, this is a huge.
Also, we might have a list of all the types and be like, which do you think it is?
That's
because arsenic.
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 Now I knew it. That was.
Well, it's funny because arcanine, arsenic.